Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to give you another update on Captain America Brave New World. They're saying it could potentially hit 100 million through President's Day. And it sounds good, but it's actually not really that good because the overall trajectory for Marvel movies has been down. Mm-hmm. And this one, as you know, Rob Liefeld. Now, Rob Liefeld is the co-creator of Deadpool, and he's gotten into it with Marvel recently. But he's like, yeah, this is not a good sign. Ant-Man 3 opened with $20 million more, and that was Ant-Man 3.
Right, and this one, you know, we're gonna have to go 5 days. You know, Ant-Man also, but it's like 5 days: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to get that 100 million.
Yeah, so let's talk about this because I mean, look, I don't know if internally if Marvel thought this was going to be, you know, Civil War levels of popular. I don't think they did, but I'm sure they probably hoped for better, especially given all the reshoots and everything.
And well, the director's trying to dispute that now. That there weren't a lot of reshoots, even though there's lots of evidence to the contrary.
It got pushed back like a year or two.
I know. Oh, that's because of the strikes. No, it's just they're trying to dispute that happened, but. You know, here's the thing. It's like, this is not good. It's this amount, more than this amount was considered a bomb 2 years ago. I don't think this is going to do well next weekend because the word of mouth's mixed. I don't think it's going to do well next weekend. That
is what's going to be the deciding factor, I think, is how it does next weekend. Because we did the video earlier on the cinema score being low for Marvel. I mean, B- isn't like the worst thing ever, but for Marvel, it's not good. It's actually their worst score, worse than the Marvels. And yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. And if this one doesn't do so hot, I'm not sure how Thunderbolts is going to do. I don't even know how Fantastic Four is going to do at this point. Like, I would say Fantastic Four this year is probably their best bet for making bank off Marvel. And I'm not even sure how that one's going to do at this point.
Yeah.
And I actually am somewhat interested. So we'll see.
I think people are just over Marvel.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think people are just over Marvel. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this, regardless of the movie. If you like the movie, good for you. What we're looking at is kind of the autopsy of the MCU and whether or not they can pivot. And again, I think Deadpool and Wolverine was an outlier because that was more of a Fox thing. That was a one-off. I just don't see anything Marvel doing gangbusters this year. We'll see. So before you get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Check out clownfish-minus.com. Help support the reef. Check out our merch, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, people were kind of calling Rob out. They're like, because he actually thought it was going to do a lot better. He was all excited about it just a couple of weeks ago. And he's like, yeah, it's $20 million less than Ant-Man 3. That's
and the Ant-Man 3 was considered a big disappointment.
Yeah.
And now they're acting like this 100 million is a win. I'm like, in what way?
People are like, oh, come on, Rob. It's like people are a little tired at this point. I think that's it. I think that's a lot of it. The treadmill approach finally caught up with them. Nothing feels inspired.
Nope.
That's just it. The part of the problem with Marvel, I think, is like, one, people are already tired of the movies by the time they come out because they announce them like freaking 5 years out. But like, you know, for the people that are like, art and culture and yada yada. I'm like, these are products. These are corporate products. They pick a date, they throw a dart at the calendar and say, this is the day we're going to put this, Captain America 4 in the theater. And we don't even have a script yet, but that's when we're gonna have this movie come out.
Well, they moved them around, shifted it too. It's funny to me because Snow White got pushed back till next month, and I've noticed there's not anything that would be a family competitor against it for a couple of weeks, not until Minecraft, like 2 weeks later.
This is an interesting take, and I agree with this guy, Kip. Marvel Rivals proves that it's not Marvel that's the problem, it's Disney. People still love the characters when they're given the level of care and artistry they deserve.
I agree.
Marvel Rivals is incredibly popular. Marvel Comics are not popular for the same reason that the MCU is currently not popular, because they're not being good custodians of these characters. And
no, and that's exactly what it is. You've changed them all. They're race bent, they're gender swapped, somehow straight characters now LGBTQ, and you're pushing this agenda stuff, and it's all that over story. And the fact that if nothing else proves it is when people don't like your stories, you the go-to is to call them istophobes,
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen? And then when you have something that's just sticking with the characters, it's fun, they're more true to themselves, people like it. And they aren't being called names for it.
So people were calling out, they're thinking this going to have a 60 to 80% drop. Here we go. Massive weather issues played a role in a few areas. Where we can see the ice storm from a couple days ago.
I don't think that, come on, dude. No.
Get them, Rob. A lot of people saying Rob's just mad because he's got an issue with Marvel, and the issue with Marvel was Kevin Feige. He felt snubbed him and didn't treat him very well.
Kevin Feige didn't snub us. Doesn't care. I still have a problem with it, and I think he's not wrong. So what's the excuse for that? There was an ice storm here. Still could have gone. It wouldn't have gone. He
was actually excited for it. I remember reading that he was like, "Yeah, it's gonna do really good," and then it's like, "Oh, it's not doing so hot." So here's the actual story coming from Variety. Captain America: Brave New World flies to heroic $100 million over President's Day holiday weekend. A heroic $88.5 million in the box office debut, with domestic ticket sales projected to climb to $100 million through Monday. But do we know for sure? Because well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it does. I'm not thinking it's going to hit quite 100. I'm thinking 95-ish. But despite unfavorable reviews and a terrible audience score, the 35th MCU movie, 35 effing.
That's part of your problem right there.
35th MCU movie arrived arrived slightly above projections and ranks as the biggest opening weekend of the year.
It's February.
It's also the fourth. Okay, this actually puts it in perspective, though. It's also the fourth best President's Day launch on record, following Black Panther, which was $242 million. Deadpool, the first Deadpool, was $152 million, and Ant-Man and the Wasp was $120 million.
Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp was considered a big fail. And this one's not going to come in as high as that. And they're like, no matter how much I try to spin this as a win, it's not a win. And the cinema scores are terrible.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, that doesn't always mean anything, because sometimes audiences, will flock to movies that critics hate or whatever. But
the cinema score is the audience, or
that is the audience score. It's weird. It's weird to see audiences flocking to this movie unless they're so desperate for something Marvel. Or that feels Marvel.
Once upon a time, yes, but now you can go to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
If you're desperate for a Marvel hit, you can go to Disney Plus. But you don't have to wait for the movies now. They
said that there's people are kind of concerned about the next weekend, because they said cinema operators need Captain America to remain a box office draw in subsequent weeks, because there's nothing on the film release calendar that resembles a 4-quadrant blockbuster until Snow White.
And Snow White, just you'll kiss your ass goodbye, because Snow White's just not going to perform.
Marvel has shown signs of wear and tear after the epic success of Endgame. It has 2 other tentpoles over the next 6 months. Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. And Fantastic Four, though, I did not realize that Fantastic Four and Superman were only a week apart.
Yeah. And there's something else that was going on around the same time, too. I forget what it was. But there's another one that's going to be thrown in that time frame, too.
And look, I said before, I actually think the Fantastic Four trailer, I liked what I saw. That doesn't mean that the movie's going to be any good. I just kind of like the visuals of it. But Thunderbolts just looks like another Disney Plus show. It doesn't look terrible, but it's like I've already seen this on Disney Plus.
Thunderbolts and this Captain America: Brave New World look like TV shows, not movies. And and there's nothing about them that's making me like, yeah, I have to get my butt out of the seat and go to the theater. I'll just wait for Disney Plus. Honestly, when it's on Disney Plus, I won't watch it then either.
Yeah. Then they're talking about how in China they've got this animated movie in China, and it's like going to hit $1 billion, over $1 billion, 1.1 billion just in China.
Mm-hmm. They have their own film industry over there. Like, they don't need our stuff at all. It's huge.
Yeah, it's crazy. But Dogman didn't do as well as they were hoping for. Apparently, Dogman's
weird.
Yeah, I don't know about like that working as a movie. Like I didn't know the plot of Dogman because our kids are too old for Dogman, but apparently the cop and the dog get into an accident and they sew the dog's head onto the cop's body, and this is a kid's book. And I'm like, so it's kind of like RoboCop meets Full Metal Alchemist. I don't know.
Doggo Cop.
But yeah, anyway, so there we go, guys.
Full Metal Alchemist, no. Sorry.
Oh no.
Oh no, I'm sad.
Oh God. Anyway, that makes everybody sad. All you have to do is just say FMA and people get sad. Are we gonna wrap this up? I think we need to wrap this up.
Let's see what happens, but I don't think I just think it's gonna fall off a cliff.
I think you're right. I think the word of mouth is going to get out and people are going to be like, because everything I've heard is like, it's not a terrible movie, but it's definitely just a big budget Disney Plus show. You know, that's what I've heard. So we'll see. Anyway, the autopsy of Marvel. We'll see where we're at, after this year. We're going to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.